Hi, and welcome to another AI in 5. I'm your host, Simon Chris, and joining me today is Jonathan Roberts. Jonathan is the director of the Australian Cobotics Centre and also a professor in robotics at Queensland University of Technology. And we're going to be talking about everything humanoid robot. Hi, Jonathan. Welcome to AI in 5. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Simon.
Now, this one's going to be really exciting. This is an area that I love. I don't know a lot about it, but I love the topic is robotics. And, you know, we've seen videos of everything from robots dancing through to robots with zero shots learning how to fold the laundry. Is it as easy as it looks to get a robot to do some of these things?
No, it's extremely difficult to do any practical task. I often joke with people, but it's not that much of a joke that it's easier to put a person on the moon than it is to get a robot to make you a cup of tea.
Yeah,
Because
wow.
if you think about how complicated it is to do a task everybody knows how to do, like make a cup of tea, it's really difficult. You know, if you put a robot in a kitchen, it's got to figure out, okay, where are the cups? Get the cups, put the cups down. Where's the tea? What sort of tea is this? You know, how do I get that out of the container that the tea is
Mm.
put in? How do I then get, where's the milk? It's complicated. It's so complicated with so many places along that process where things can go wrong. So it's very difficult.
And then you'd have that added thing, I imagine, of if you're trying to get it to use a drinking glass,
Yeah.
that drinking glass is transparent. So
Oh,
understanding
totally.
the depth
Yes.
of where it is that.
So some of the so that is the sensing problem in robotics. So robotics has got, you can think of the sort of three big areas of robotics. Like one is the kind of the physical stuff. So making the robot actually move, grab things, move around. The other one is the planning, and that's what I was alluding to with the cup of tea thing, right? Actually planning that task and figuring out a plan based on what you can see is difficult. But then is the what you can see, and that's the sensing part. And that is really hard. We
Mm.
as people are great at sensing. Getting that into a machine, a robot, and to be as reliable as we are is very difficult.
Yeah, wow. And yeah, when I think about robotics, you think about, the car production factories just with big arms
Yeah.
doing things. But more and more the robots that we're seeing or the robotics that will help us in our world look increasingly like a human. They have arms and legs, when they could actually be designed to look anyway.
Yes.
What's the thinking behind that?
So, I mean, there's a few things there to unpack quickly. The first ever robots, where the term was coined, was a Czech play a long time ago, where it was all about mechanical slaves, and the
Mm,
term robot was coined. Now, of course, the easy way to do robots then was to dress some people up in cardboard boxes,
yep,
literally. And so there we had the first robots, right?
yep.
It's a practical thing. Then, of course, science fiction took all of that on board. You could even say that was science fiction, but then the movies came out, all that. So that got that stuck. But it actually turns out it's compelling to make a robot that's got the similar physical form to all of us because we have built our whole world for ourselves. So door handles
Mm.
at this height, kitchen bench tops are at a certain height.
Ah,
These
right.
buttons are placed where we want them. So if you can make a robot that can is at roughly our form, it sort of almost means by definition you don't have to change the world to suit the robot. The robot can just kind of slide into our place and use all our same tools. It could use our vacuum cleaner. Doesn't can kick the old robot vacuum cleaner out. It could just use the handheld vacuum cleaner
Yep.
uh, and vacuum the room. So it's compelling from that very practical point of view.
Hoover's going to be very happy to hear that. Um, and when we look at robots and robotics, are we getting closer to robots that are almost zero shot training? Like you kind of assign them a task and they figure it out, or are we still in the land of heavily repeating the training until they get it?
I think it's a bit of a blend at the moment. I think what seems to be working, people are showing, is if you do a lot of the heavy training in a sort of generic way, you can then do the smaller amount of training or the single shot or not many shots, on the very specific tasks. So that seems to be the way it's going, and that also seems to be working, with you training in simulation and then tweaking the training and doing a little bit of training on the physical robot. So you can sort of do the bulk of the work in simulation without actually using the real robot, and then you sort of finish everything off with the real robot. And of course, it's AI that is enabling this, basically.
Yeah.
This is why we've suddenly seeing all of these videos from all the various humanoid robot companies, and I should say there's at least 50 of those in China alone.
Yeah, wow.
They're suddenly showing high capability, right? And it appears that's been enabled by AI.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so the robots really are coming for us. We're at time, but I love to ask everybody the same question, and I'll ask you this. In your opinion, what's the best bit of advice you would have for an organization just starting their AI journey? What should they be thinking about or focusing on?
I mean, obviously, this whole idea of thinking about the use cases, and really, it's about brainstorming. What is the potential for AI? And in my case, what I'm interested in robotics, to change their business, and also. There's this this famous stats about how, particularly in Australia, everyone uses stuff in their private lives, new tech, before often it makes it into business.
Yeah.
And there's a stat about, large language models that, Australians are apparently the largest users in the world, when you crunch the numbers, but that's in their private lives, not in business. So maybe engaging people and sort of on the staff, because they're probably already using it at home.
Yeah, wonderful. Look, thanks, Jonathan. This has been a great AI in 5.
Thanks, Simon.